Hi, good morning everyone. This is Dr. Naveen Kumar Dixit, Assistant Professor of Horticulture and Extension Specialist at UMES. We already learned how to cultivate Asian ethnic vegetables. Especially, you can see here, this is bottle gourd, 3 different kinds with respect to the shape and size. However, taste is similar. And these are bitter gourd crop, and you can see here 2 different kinds. This is called mini hybrid, this is called Deva hybrid. So only the difference is in shape and size, otherwise chemically they are equal. So today I want to introduce our 2 community members who will teach us how to cook these vegetables at home using very simple type of spices generally available in each and every home. So Mrs. Hema Bhaskaran is one of our community member. Please come here. And second one is Mrs. Sushma Agarwal. So both of them will teach us how to cook these vegetables. So now the venue is for both of them. Thank you very much.
We have 2 wonderful products, fresh vegetables that we got from UMES Farm. And we're going to help you understand what are some of the ways to cook it. All right, it's usually crazy when you get a new product what to do with it. One of the wonderful thing is juicing. Everybody loves to juice, right? So how about we juice these products? Hema's gonna juice the gourd. Okay, that is considered by some community that is healthy for removing your pimples, your facial complexion getting clear, and under those eyes, you know, those black things that we get, it helps to clear that. So that's what she's gonna do with that. The other thing is the wonderful bitter gourd. Ooh, it's bitter, okay, but it's supposed to be very good for diabetics, especially type 2 diabetes. Oh, by the way, did I forget to mention? Good for diets, according to some people. It fills you up, okay? Again, it's based on people saying we don't have any scientific behind it, so please don't, we're not scientists, we're just normal cooks at home. So let's start with juicing. It's the easiest thing to do, right? Let's go.
So it's as easy as just peeling it, slicing it, putting it in a juicer. And the 2 additional ingredients are just lime juice or lemon juice, depending on what your preference is, and then a little bit of salt. We prefer the Himalayan salt because it actually has a little tang to it that enhances some of the flavors. So I'm going to start. So I'm going to start off by peeling the outer skin, just slicing it, and it goes in the juicer.
And sometimes people wonder what. As long as the skin is off and you can see, it's okay. Don't worry. Too much, too little. Easy. Don't stress about it. Enjoy it. That's the whole object, okay? We are not creating fancy food here. We're creating healthy food so we can use them, right? Peel the outside a little smooth because you'll see the texture outside is rough, okay? So peel it until you get it smooth. Don't worry if you leave a little bit. Now, what I'm going to do is no measurements, all right? You can if you like. Obviously, pepper and paprika is less, right? I do dump, okay? Paprika for coloring, and a little bit, it's like the Hungarian peppers. Coriander, for tasting. It also helps to eliminate some of the bitterness that goes in it, okay? Again, what's wonderful about all of this stuff is salt, again. As you can see, we use a lot of salt to taste. If you don't want to put it in because you're salt conscious, don't worry about it, don't put it in. And those that are into salt, you can always add it to theirs a little bit at the end. Turmeric. How many of you used to eating turmeric pills? Guess what? There's powder there that you can actually use. into your food. Again, a little bit of it, a lot of it. Let's go for it. All right. Now we have all this. Obviously, as you can see, this is the thing, right? The mixture. What makes it bind? If you put rice in it, that's perfect. I don't have any rice right now. If you put chicken in it, that's perfect. Shredded chicken. You can also put in a little bit of oil for vegetarian people, paleo people, whatever they are, okay? You got all these people out there with different dietary needs, right? So you can cook it in different ways. This is your basic vegetarian, all right? Iced rice for a little filling. Add shredded chicken, and those meat lovers, you add shredded beef. All right? Put it all in here. And you just stuff it. Use a knife, use a spoon, whatever you got there. All right? Just like I said, it's the fun of cooking, okay? That's all it is. And experimenting with different things that are out there. Here we go with this one while she's cooking that. I gotta drink the other thing too, remember?
Oh, yeah.
This reminds me of the sugar cane thing, but not the sweetness of the sugar cane, that feeling. Yeah, we do the same thing with sugar cane. Then we put lemon, and it's,
I tried this without there's salt in it. It's actually sweetish.
yeah.
But same idea. Just take the skin, peel it off, take the seeds out, just goes in a juicer and strain the juice out.
So we did this a little earlier. So we took the seeds out from the inside of it. And the outside, just touch it to make sure that it feels a little smooth, because the skin is much more bitter than this thing is. Still bitter, so you want to avoid as much bitterness as possible. Now they're saying that just like with coffee, you know how you add milk to or something, you can add honey to change the taste a little bit, to eliminate the little bit of bitterness to it. Again, you can do some lime or lemon that cuts a little bit of the bitterness down. The salt will cut the bitterness down. But if you're diabetic, you can't put some of these things in there. So as long as it's smooth and you don't feel the skin on top of it. So I'm preparing it to cook it. So we already did that with bitter gourd. I stuffed those. Now I'm going to cut these. Same concept with these. We're making it into a soup. So you can make it plain by itself. And what I did was I got some canned beans, black beans, everybody's familiar with kidney beans. You can add those. That can be a protein that you add onto it. You can have it plain by itself. Add these for vegetarian people. Rice for this way. Chicken for non-vegetarian people. So same product, cook it in 3 different ways. This could be a fun shot thing. See who can handle it the best, okay?
It's not so much bitter by adding salt.
Yeah.
It's bitter, but it's not as bitter once you cut that down. It's not that bitter with the salt in it. If you add honey, it won't be as bitter either. But remember,
Yeah, people generally take these bitter melon juice sometimes before and after the meal. So according to some, it helps to lower their sugar levels.
Because it does have certain chemicals that have insulin-like properties.
so we're done with that part. Now it's time to do the cooking part. So Hema's cutting these. The smaller you cut it, the faster it's cooked. Anyway, this thing cooks really fast, all right? So add some flavoring. We are trying to, some of the craze that are right now, Asian cooking always uses ginger. This is ginger. We're gonna put that in the soup. Tomato, onion, and if you want to put garlic, you can. and peppers. Okay, as I said, in our house we use a lot of hot food, so it's there. This is an optional. Okay.
And when you actually add the paprika and a little bit of the cumin with the beans, it almost tastes like a chili. It almost tastes like a vegetarian version of a chili. And again, you're just adding one more vegetable that has some health benefits to any chili that you're actually making.
Right. So adding this as the protein, you can add rice, and like we said, these are just the basics. You can add and build as much as you want with whatever you want to build with. Okay, so just remember that.
I like recipes that are 20 minutes or under. So this is one of those recipes that you can go from start to finish in just 20 minutes. Just to say, Sushma, what we've been here for 20 years now, almost. And this is the first time that we have access to these vegetables in such good quality, in such amazing quantities.
And as you cook them, you'll see that this is used by other Asian, and you know they put them, they do stir fries with them. You can do that with these things, with these. Okay, long, short, doesn't matter. So I hope as we're doing this, we're encouraging you to get these products and try it. And the other thing that I forgot to tell you was, how many of you do barbecues in the summertime, don't you? So stuff these and put them on your barbecue grill. They will have a different taste, you won't realize it. Now we could have done all of this beforehand, but we really wanted you to see the whole beginning to the end.
Exactly.
So, just think of these as your bell peppers. You know how you cook bell peppers and stuff them in? The same ingredients you put in there, you can put in here. Okay? Are you ready?
I think so.
Okay.
So now that I see so I'm gonna make a soup that actually has the gourd, and we're gonna add some tomatoes, onions, a little bit of ginger that's grated, and one pepper. If you want a little more heat, we do have other pepper options. I just drained a can of kidney beans, so that's going to be the protein. And for the flavoring today, we're actually going to be using some cumin, and just like with the juice, using a little bit of the Himalayan pink salt, and you know it, a little bit of turmeric for color, also good antibiotic, anti-inflammatory properties with that. And again, as Sushma mentioned earlier, the oil, it can be any kind of oil. Today we're using what's in Sushma's kitchen, so we're going to go with avocado oil.
Yes.
The reason I can cook and not bake is because I have a tendency to eyeball everything. So I would say pretty much to make the soup, I'm adding 1 tablespoon of oil. So that's the guesstimate there, 1 tablespoon. And as the oil gets warmer, this is your typical order of spices that get added into the oil. So we start with cumin, and let the cumin roast a little bit in the oil.
They will get a little browning.
Yep, and that actually, and I wish you were here in the kitchen because you can smell the cumin.
Okay.
And this is where different homes have different order of doing things. I learned cooking from my mom, so I'm going to use the order that she goes in. So she always does onions first, and then ginger. If there's garlic, the garlic goes after the onion. And then when all of that is nice and translucent, then we add the tomatoes and the peppers go in last. But again, you can do this in any order. I'm just going to use my mom's order because that's who I learned things from. So again, it's just cumin in the oil, the onions,
And we're all used to the onion being a little translucent before we add the other.
Yeah.
That's just to take away the bitterness of the onions, and that's why all of you are used to doing that, before you add anything else. And if there was garlic you wouldn't cook it for too long because they tend to get bitter if it's overcooked.
Yeah, and this is what I want to walk into every evening when I come back from work. It's the smell of onion and ginger cooking together. And because the ginger is grated and I'm cooking on high flame, and this is how I get things done in 15 minutes, everything is cooking quite fast. And there goes the tomatoes. And again, the tomatoes are not cooked completely. I'm just looking for everything to get a little soft at this stage, because we're going to cook everything a little more with the vegetables.
Again, salt and all of these spices that you're going to be putting in is based on your taste. If you find it's too much for you, then cut it down the next time. If you find it's too little and you like the taste of one more, add a little bit more. The only thing with the turmeric is don't put way beyond a certain portion, because then it overpowers your food. That's about the only thing. But the taste of turmeric is really good.
And one lesson that my mom taught me is never to add turmeric at the end, because of that same reason that Sushma said. It does have a tendency to get a little overpowering.
And it has that, it comes from the same family as ginger. So therefore you want it to cook it a little bit and not have it at the end. Otherwise it's going to taste raw and it's not a good thing.
And so at this stage, pretty much all of the spices are in, and
Well, okay, we'll show you what it looks like right now as it blends, just because of the way the camera. Okay, so you see this?
and at this stage the gourd actually goes in. Now another trick is, if you want your soup to almost taste like a minestrone, instead of adding fresh tomatoes, really good quality canned tomato will do the trick. When I'm making any kind of soupy recipes like this, a good rule of thumb that has worked for me is, as long as the vegetable soaks on top, I think I'm just going to add a little bit of water to it. And this is also the stage where I check for the salt and pepper.
Okay, so I'm going to transfer this over to the next stove over, and we're just going to let it cook. And while that is happening, we're going to do the next product. Okay.
And this is very important. Up to this point, I was cooking on high, but when it's trying to steam and cook completely with the liquid, I change it to a medium heat. So that
because this is going to only cook in this, and it's going to be dry, we put a little bit more oil than we would in that. Again, like Hema did, I tend to eyeball everything too. And I really would like people to start just eyeballing, because then you get more comfortable in cooking. I let the oil cook a little bit. Then again, the same thing that Hema did. I'm just going to put turmeric. The reason I'm not going to put cumin in there. The reason I'm not putting turmeric, coriander, paprika, and cayenne pepper, the other way around, or salt, is because I already put it in this thing. So I'm just gonna let that heat up, and the only thing missing is cumin, so I'll put that in. Oops. And then what you do is, easy as, sometimes I like to have the sizzling sound. Well, that would be. Just dump them in. You can hear the crackling sound. That's it. So put them in. Now, I did tell you to put this in. I'm going to wait till it cooks a little bit before I put it in. We're done. We'll cover it up, and we put it on low to medium, but more towards the lower side. So if you want it to cook the inside. We did this, and now we'll just wait for it to cook. Another 10 minutes. We'll check it.
Yep.
You see what has happened. The side that was the back side, it got like this. So you're just gonna turn them over. Like you do with normally anything else. You know how you bake it on one side and you turn it over to the other side. And that's all we're doing. The part that got brown, we're gonna turn them over. So that's all I'm doing. Now I'm gonna let it cook for another couple of minutes until it gets brown on the other side. Once it's all cooked, I'm gonna put the leftover spices in there and then just cook it for a few seconds until the spices get a little bit of flavor. Okay, and
rule number 1, when you have anything steaming, just put it
chaat
on.
masala. You want to chaat masala?
So this is what it looks like. Now,
You want to show it to me?
yeah,
Okay.
it's piping hot.
It's
Thank you,
piping hot.
Sushma.
Here we go. You see the coloring? The yellow coloring is coming from the turmeric. Everything is in there. Smells really good. I wish the video had those things. You know those TV shows that you watch and they say that? Now we're saying it, okay?
When it is a little more yellow, and you also see that it'll turn a little more translucent, so that's when you know it's cooked. That's how we eyeball it. Easier way is to just stick a little knife or a spoon or a fork in it, and if it goes in easy, it means that it's all done, it's cooked. And then after we turn the stove off for just a little bit of time, just squeeze a little bit of lime or lemon on it. So that'll be the last finishing touches. And then to garnish, you can use cilantro. That's a beautiful garnish with fresh smells. And then eat it with rice or with naan.
So true to what we said before, it's another 5 minutes. And all I'm doing is looking at the other side, it's darkened. We tend to do something in India what we call this, the spoon test. If it goes through, it's cooked. It's cooked. I'll just use the other one. This is it, right? It cuts through, that means it's cooked. So it's cooked. So what are we doing with this thing? Just put it all in there. So it gets all around it. Let it cook for a few more minutes. It's cooked. The only thing you're doing is letting the spices get that flavoring in there.
So again, it took about 10 minutes
Total.
for the soup to cook. And now you have the juices, you have the vegetables with the beans, and all it needs is a little bit of rice or bread, and it's good to go. And just like Sushma did, because this is an electric stove, you're going to turn it off, let it sit there for a minute, and then just a little bit of lime or lemon, depending on what flavors you prefer, just for a little bit of time.
Okay, so we're gonna plate this stuff. We got the soup. Today we decided to use what we had in the house, which happens to be pretzel hamburger buns. Doesn't matter what you use, alright? Like we said, you can have naan, you guys are familiar with that. You can have rice on the side. You can warm up this, put it on the side, and it's not warmed up, but we would warm it up normally. I'm just plating it for you guys. Hema's gonna go ahead and put some cilantro. When it comes to herbs, using a scissor is better. Okay, just so you're wondering why we're doing it that way.
This is a little trick that we learned, especially when you're garnishing. Instead of a knife that actually gets all the juices out, you want to keep it fresh. So just the scissors work really well. And again, depending on your favorite flavors, either lemon or lime. So just a hint of lime.
This is our meal. Hope you enjoy it. It took us about, what, 20 minutes?